Val Music.
Hello, folks, and welcome back. I am your friendly neighborhood shoutcaster, Sharo, again, joined once again by Beanjar. We are here now in game number 3 on game point, or match point for Universal Basic Income versus In the Trees.
Yes, I'm pretty excited with this one. Okay, YUBI, of course, thinks Ezreal picker ban, still respecting even more. It seems that every champion that Utility Monster picks, INT is just like, we have to ban it. It's like, there's no option.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is, they're focusing so much on Utility Monster, while at the same time, their bot lane, they really need to be focusing on getting Jeff God and Brian Sang kind of locked out. I understand, like, it's one of those tougher picks that just because the champion pool is so large. We have the immediate steal of the set coming out from In the Trees to take it away from Brian Sang. That is by far one of the most fun champions to play as support, by the way. Like, I just love it. It's so great to be able to just, like, rush in, pummel people a little bit, and then take them out. And it's like, hey, I'm the support.
Yeah, I just actually get to play as a different lane for once.
Mm-hmm. And then we have the Malphite being picked up as by YUBI, most likely here. They are hovering it. I think that the Malphite has got a lot of value just because of the amount of CC he provides for his team, plus the immediate dive that he can just do is just jump straight onto that backline, just absolutely shredding them.
Yeah, the team fight ability is great. And that seems like what YUBI's going for. Like, last game, like, most of the champions they had were for setting up team fight. Oh, they let the Morgana through. Ooh.
They let the Morgana through this time, and we do see Utility Monster picking it up. So that makes me think that In the Trees is either like, okay, so we don't want him going on to the damage champions. We are going to ban the we're going to let the Morgana through. So they're probably got some kind of plan to counter it, I hope.
Yeah, I assume that they're going to do a high 80 damage. I'm not too sure because Morgana and Malphite as a combo is just pretty oppressive if you're in team fights. Oh, the Viego.
The Viego pickup. We have not seen a lot of Viegos in this set so far, like just in this game, our season so far. He's a champion that in a lot of circles that I've been talking with, they really feel that he's just absolutely broken, just because he's essentially a Silas mixed with Nocturne or a Fiddlesticks.
Oh yeah.
Just it's kind of crazy because he's able to just like sneak up on you, completely do and execute you right away, then steal all your abilities. It's really ridiculous. And the Seraphine, yet another champion that in a lot of circles is considered broken. It's kind of interesting that we see a lot of squish on the side of In the Trees being picked up, but at the same time, a lot of high damage coming out.
Okay, so INT has this like new champions with high damage and great like they're good with it and they have the stats to show, but YUBI has an absurd amount of utility here. Like the CC from Malphite, Morgana, and Malzahar. Like if Viego tries to make a hero play, he's removed from the game. Doesn't even stand a chance.
Yeah, exactly. They gotta set up for it and they gotta be ready for it, because if they aren't able to just completely get rid of that Malzahar right away, he's just gonna survive. And I believe a lot of Viego's damage is AP. I'm trying to remember his ratios and I can't off the top of my head. But all of the CC that it will be blocked by the Morgana Black Shield, so that's going to be another tool in Yumi's pocket to just basically shut him down before he has a chance to do anything.
Yeah, the Malzahar Morgana combo is amazing, but it seems that YUBI has picked on to the taken on to the new champion approach and banned out the Gwen. Wait, okay, I think YUBI is having I think YUBI is getting a little bit cocky here. And I think they're going for a theme, just like insane CC.
They are going for the hard lockdown, the you cannot play this game lockdown comp, picking up the Ashe, because once again, you've got the crystal arrow that's going to fly across the map, the slows on the Ashe arrows in general. It's just that team I already despise coming out of YUBI, but we have the poison little rat coming out from In the Trees as they pick up Twitch.
Yeah, there's got to be some champion that's like anti-CC that's not Morgana that can actually do well in this situation. I'm not seeing much.
There really isn't. Too much, unfortunately. I'm looking at the comp that In the Trees is putting together, and I do like the Twitch added to it because that's going to be a lot of damage, a lot of poison, and then if you throw that Shen in there, that's a lot more protection. So it is kind of a
Or
protect the
CC.
Twitch comp,
Wait.
or protect the Viego. And so that Stand United coming out from Shen is going to make it a lot easier for him to join those fights and keep Viego alive, jumping into the thick of things, which is where you want your Shen to be.
I'm expecting, I'm calling it now, Yumi.
Yumi.
Let's see
We
it.
haven't seen it picked up yet. It
Let's see
is
it, let's
open,
see
so
it.
they could be deciding on it.
Huh?
Oh,
What?
it's the Poppy as the last second pick from Universal Basic Income as we hop onto this rift to check things out. It looks like we're going to get the 5-man spread. No 5-man invades right now. I expect In the Trees, they've got to go one of two ways in this. They're either like, okay, this is it, guys. We got to go balls to the wall and just hit it hard and just run in, go guns blazing. Or they're going to basically play it safe, try and scale up, try and get to that mid to late game, and then just shut UB down. I do like the pickup of the Poppy, though, with that CC denial.
Oh,
Or
Poppy is
the dash
underrated,
denial.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The amount of utility they can provide is pretty monstrous.
Not even the utility, just the damage it gets, like, if it potentially gets ahead. I like what INT is doing as well. I actually expected more, like, more damage, even though, because INT, kind of ironic, but they do better when they're like guerrilla warfare, where they think less and attack more and just go in and like overwhelm the opponent. That's what I see.
That could be the plan that they've got here. They do have the champion picks to do it. With this Twitch set bot lane, that is definitely a lane that wants to fight, but they're going to be running into an Ashe Morgana that's going to basically shut them down. Just because of all that extra poke, and then you're going to have the Black Shield that's going to prevent the Haymaker, the Facebreaker, and the Showstopper from coming out. That it's just absolutely shutting down the entirety of Set's kit. And look at that, you got the Q, the root coming out from Morgana as the Dark Binding just locks him in place.
Yeah,
That's going to be
already an
devastating
impressive bot lane again. This is
it's so
repeating
painful.
patterns.
Yep, they let Brian Sang that, so that is actually something interesting to point out. Brian Sang is the one on the Morgana this time, not Utility Monster. Utility Monster actually
I
took
think it was
the
a
top.
bait actually, because if you
a little bit, it was a
they
little
picked
bit of a
it
bait.
first 3, right? So it baits out extra bans onto support when you already have your support done. I mean, of course, you can't predict to ban a Poppy of all things, but that's still pretty impressive.
It is pretty impressive. We do see Brian Sang once again push it up.
Yeah.
Just the volley coming out from Ashe. It's kind of insane how much damage that this bot lane is able to put out
It's
without having to
insane
step
in
up
the
the guard.
membrane.
Insane in the membrane.
Okay. One more thing. What dragon will it be?
Okay, so with this Ocean Drake as being the first Drake coming up, we're probably going to be seeing an Infernal, I think, coming out for the Soul this game.
Huh. Okay.
And
I am going to expect a... I'm going to expect a Cloud... Wait.
You got a 50-50 shot. So
Okay,
it's either going to be a
Cloud
Cloud Take or an Infernal, or we're both wrong, and it's going to be a Mountain. So
Okay.
Fish taking a lot of damage from those volleys. The arrows coming out so fast. And that is going to be... Kenny almost missed that cannon minion right there.
Oh, it's like you have to stand behind the turret. Like, it's just constant poke at this. Yeah, no, it's like you could barely farm.
Yeah,
And
you can barely farm. You can't let Fish step up in order to get any CS, so he's not able to proc his steel pauldrons in order to really get any gold. So that's going to set him behind, which is just going to set Twitch behind. He's going to step up right in front of Brian Sang, and Brian Sang's not going to hit him with a Dark Binding.
Yeah.
Just hit him with that auto attack instead.
By the way, how do you know that it's going to be an Infernal Drake? Because I guess Cloud Drake, right?
Yes, you guessed Cloud Drake, and I'm guessing Infernal Drake. And so basically, you have to look at the team comps. The way the RNG works is it's not exactly random. It's going to try and empower the team comps as best it can to basically put them as far ahead as possible. So if you have a lot of tanks, it's more than likely going to give you something like, look at this, we got this fight going on here in the top lane, as Freelancer taking a lot of damage from Brock Lee. Brock Lee taking a lot of minion aggro, though, to kind of balance it out. He does have very little mana in Freelancer. Freelancer has very little mana, relatively speaking, to Brock Lee, though. So that could be a continued fight. Right here, we have Utility Monster already invading
Poppy damage.
doing so much damage early on. Trying to basically force him to take longer on this Krugs. We do have the rest of bot lane trying to come up here. That is going to be a root coming out, stopping Set in his tracks. He's going to take a lot of damage. Black Shield coming out, keeping Poppy right there. We got a pushback. The first blood, though, is going to go over to Set as he manages to pick up that kill. We got the TP coming down as well as Shen comes to join this fight. That is going to be Bow Explode taking down Brian Sang. And then we have right here Jeff God Gamer getting shredded by the Kenny Hammer Spike. And in the meantime, in the mid lane, we have Evolved Noob and Civilot going at it, and Evolved Noob coming out on the bottom of that trade.
Are we in the process of seeing a reverse sweep of all things?
We very well could be. That would be something very exciting. That is probably the most exciting outcome we could possibly have. And Bow is going to immediately take this opportunity to take this Drake. Utility Monster will not have the opportunity to come and stop Bow Explode for taking it, and that is going to be the first Ocean Drake.
He might die.
He might die.
No,
I think he's going to get it just fine. But that's going to be the first Ocean Drake. And it is not going to be the Infernal Soul. I was wrong.
Okay,
I was wrong.
You can bet a Mountain Drake, and I'll be the Cloud Drake.
Well, no. I was just straight wrong. You win.
What? No. I got an extra chance the last time.
Okay, you got an extra chance. That's true. Okay, I'll take it. So
you'll take the extra chance, or else my victory isn't as gratifying. You know?
It isn't as gratifying.
Yeah. I will crush my enemies into the ground. I must be right.
I'll let you. So you said it's a Mountain Drake essentially from what my is what I'm switching my guess to.
Yeah, you have to do Mountain Drake because I started with Cloud Drake.
Yeah. Okay. Right now. So with this, we do have the bot lane for In the Trees has managed to pull ahead, which is good. So that does mean that they will have an opportunity to try and pull. To bring this out, to take down the Brian Sang Jeff God Gamer combo. I don't know if that's really going to even be possible, though, because it's a Morgana Ashe.
Oh, you do have the opportunity. It just depends on how many people you see. Because it seems that YUBI, with their high CC, I assume they want more picks. But with INT having the Shen and all of these power champions and an extra teleport on Evolved Noob, whereas Civlock has the Ghost, you're going to have more team fights rather than picks.
Most likely. And we are just seeing a little bit of a back and forth right now in this bot lane. I kind of want to see what's going on in this mid lane right now because it looks like Civlock's putting some major pressure onto Evolved Noob. We're looking at look at this right here. We have the Fish Magician trying to go in, doesn't manage to actually get the face breaker out though, as Brian saying does put
Utility
out
Monster
taking a lot of damage. Utility Monster coming to join this fight as well. He's going to jump right onto the Kenny Hammer Spike, but Kenny flashes just before getting caught.
Oh, I was excited for what that could have been, but Evolved Noob is now down a teleport for what seems like no real value because of how Kenny Hammer Spike had already blown Flash.
Yeah, Kenny had already blown Flash right there. He probably tried to... he wanted to TP a little bit sooner. Just wasn't sure if they would actually need it. That is going to be the first plate going over to the side of In the Trees, though. That is going to be really useful. They are going to get a lot of value out of that. Fish and Magish doing a great job of taking a lot of this poke, but managing to survive. Once you have the Grit Shield available, he can just be so tanky.
Yeah, he has great base stats, which allows him to be, well, essentially still really useful while being a support. Oh, quick flash, Civlock gets out.
Yeah, quick flash in order to escape. Is it? Yeah. No, it's just it's kind of one of those games where I feel like this is gonna be a little bit slower. We are gonna see that.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, we do have Fish Magish going in there. Ooh, like this, we got Bow Explode catching Utility Monster out in his jungle at this point. That is going to be the ult coming out. The flash to dodge it as they take down Utility Monster. Brock Lee coming in to pick up that kill.
This is an entire reverse of what I've expected to see. Oh, Kenny Hammer Spike.
Yep, Kenny Hammer Spike taking a lot of damage as he's having to run from Jeff God Gamer. He doesn't have the movement speed because he's slowed down. That is going to be a TP coming out from Freelancer, though. That's going to allow them to push this bot wave just a little bit more because we do know that the Stand United is not available for the Shen at this point, so he isn't able to hop down to help out Fish Magish. With that, that's probably going to be them setting up for Drake. That is going to, that wave available to Fish as Jeff tries to pick up that right there. We have the nice stun, picking up both of them. We have the Haymaker coming out, but he's a lot of damage going on to Fish McGish as well. He's barely alive. He's probably going to get taken down by the Ash. While he does manage to get out, Freelancer is still here top lane with no mana, getting slowed, caught in the poison pool. Jeff God Gamer is going to actually go down to the Kenny Hammer Spike.
I think that like Universal basic win come, like decided to play champions they aren't comfortable with just to like have some fun, just to meme around. They like insane CC on all parts. But this kind of like this is backfiring because now like if you look at their CC numbers, they're not as high as they would normally be. Their kills aren't as high as they should normally be. They're missing more objectives.
That is a nice freeze right there. That is going to be a completely stuck Seraphine who has nowhere to go. As they're just locked completely under tower and just blown up.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about picks earlier. Yeah, but this game seems to be backfiring on them. I still think INT is actually a little bit, well, of course, stronger with the 5-2 and the dragon. Might not have an advantage for the next dragon. Oh, we're gonna see who won. We're gonna see who won.
Yeah, we're gonna see who won shortly. This dragon betting process. Basically, this is going to be an Infernal Drake going over to the side of Universal Basic Income. That is going to be a lot of extra damage that's going to be on their champions. We have the Cloud Drake coming out. There we go, Beanjar. You actually managed to predict it. Way to go.
If I was going to lose it three times, like the prediction, I would have cried.
Yeah, and that is going to be... Oh, well, right there, we have a nice Facebreaker coming out, but it's not going to actually amount to much. There's nothing for him to stun on. And that is going to be a dropped ward in the bot Tri-Brush. Honestly, with the way this bot lane's going right now, I'm seeing Fish taking a lot of damage, and he's going to get caught out right there. That is going to be a huge amount Facebreaker or Haymaker coming out. Large shield, lots of damage. Brian's saying going golden in order to stay alive. We have Fish basically coming to get the showstopper out. And then we got Kenny Hammerspike finishing it off. And that is going to be another kill as Brock Lee takes down Jeff God Gamer. This is the kind of game INT needed to be playing last game with their kills, and they are finally able to start pulling it off.
It's guerrilla warfare. They're just going ham. They're going in over and over, and they're finally as aggressive as they should be. Because when they take it slow, they're like half the team they are.
Exactly. The slow game is what YUBI likes to play, and it's kind of like, well, I say that it's the slow game they like to play, but it's more like they just know whenever they're playing a team comp, they like to play a slower comp. And with this comp, it's going to take a while for it to come online. There's so much CC on it, though, that basically they should be able to lock down multiple members of INT, or they'll just hard freeze one target that it can't do anything. Freelancer fighting under turret against Brock Lee is not a good idea, as he just gets completely shredded by those tower shots. You're not a tank yet, Malphite.
He's not a tank yet.
Not a tank yet. You still got to work on that. You've only got a Cinder Hulk.
Yeah, like...
Oh, that is a nice root. That is a nice binding coming out, and that is a dead Seraphine.
That's the second time that's happened, I think, the exact same way. Like, Seraphine's probably tilted and not going to do as much for this game. It seems that Civlock, with his amazing farm, is doing the similar approach that he usually does.
Not quite. We did
TP.
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't see the TP coming out. We do see Civlock's basically his own magic shield that's going to prevent any CC, able to avoid getting pulled into that fight. But yeah, you're exactly right. It's kind of funny. Like Evolved Noob's got to be a little tilted by what Civlock and Brian Sang have been doing to him.
Yeah, Civlock is their key back into the game, because as much lockdown as you have and as much picks as you can go, if you're able to like not create a team fight and end it before anything happens, like they'll just farm up kills back to even, and once they're even, I'd say YUBI has better fundamentals and could benefit off of that.
They very well might. We do right now. If you look at this, we got Freelancer on the back line. He's looking for that dive. He wants to Malphite ult over that wall. Would have been so devastating, but they decided against it, which is probably the smart play.
Brian?
We got a channeling Hex Flash coming out as Fish McGish does actually manage to get the showstopper out, but not go over the wall, keeping him in the fight. And that is going to be another kill as Kenny Hammerspike takes down Civlock.
That is clean. It's the second time Bo has invaded Utility Monster, but misses the smite. Oh,
That is the second time, and look at this. That
but
is
he
once
gets
again
the
we
kill
have
the second
so
time.
many more roams. He has been fighting so much more in the opposing jungle. I wanted to say this during the Sejuani game, where he likes to live in his opponent's jungle, but he doesn't really take champions that are able to fight back. So I'd love to see him on a
Huh.
Xin Zhao or Viego, and that is exactly what we're getting. A good dodge on the crystal arrow flying across the map, just by barely repositioning. So that would have been a really crazy snipe from the mid lane. But even so, we have right now Kenny on the bot lane, 113. For once, he's actually beating Jeff God in CS.
Yeah, I'd say because utility monster doesn't have the Morgana, like it's what you expect and what INT is going to be ready for. But I still think at that point you should take it. You don't need to give the Morgana to Brian, and instead just play at where Brian's like strong, or give him like a Nautilus or a Hook champion.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And one thing I'd like to point out is that Seraphine is at 95 CS to the 134 on Civilock, but they've died 3 times. That's actually pretty good, relatively speaking, CS wise.
Relative? Yeah, I guess so. But yeah. Civlock
Losing
doesn't
as
seem
many waves as
well on
they,
this
they
champion.
have, I think, to be able to keep up with the Malzahar, who hasn't been roaming, has been getting a bunch of kills, I think it's been really useful. Look at that. That is poor Set getting caught out by Utility Monster, getting rooted in place, getting locked in place. There's nowhere he can go. That was an unfortunate face check on that bush that resulted in his death. That is going to be an easy Drake pickup, though, as a result, because it is going to be a 4v5. Shen is in the top lane. He does have Stand United available, so he's ready to come down. But I don't think that they're going to do that at this point. They're going to take this opportunity to rotate top, get that Rift Herald, and then basically try and use that to get as much value out of it as possible.
Yeah, Cloud Drakes for either team like would be pretty well used, especially with the Malphite and all that setup you have with the Malzahar. They're actually going to use this advantage to go for Herald. I okay, so predictions right now. I'm expecting that they're going to use this advantage, farm up through objectives. That's like UB's main goal, and INT has to get more of those like sneaky plays. You need Kenny Hammerspike invisible and Fish doing hex flashes to eventually get like a surprise kill and like edge out through there.
That does seem like what they're going to do. Unfortunately for In the Trees, I don't know if that's a sustainable win condition just because of the nature of UB. As this game continues, they're just going to get stronger. The CC is going to get longer, and it is going to
And that
eventually
rhymes.
result in a pretty devastating lockdown when these team fights start. I did like the fact that they rotated up towards Rift Herald once they finished the Drake to basically stop it, but they didn't stick around, and so In the Trees basically reset and then just took it a little bit later, basically resulting in a net zero result.
The net zero is. I'd say that's actually a good call for to not fight against a team who has significantly more item completions than you do. Like the Malphite still hasn't gotten his item by 17. He just got it now. I'll just eat my words. But at this
Yep.
point into the game, what?
He did just now pick it up, and now I just mean it's more of like they delayed the taking of Rift Herald rather than stopping it
Oh, of
altogether.
course. Oh, that makes
And
sense.
yeah, and so it's kind of one of those. It's net zero in the sense of they still got it. They just got it a little bit later. They picked up a turret a little bit later. It did give UB time to get their items, so they're able to reset themselves in order to come back to this. Does mean the mid lane is once again even, where both sides have lost their tier 1 turrets. While in the meantime, that is the only turret that UB has taken, because we do see that the top lane and the bot lane have also fallen as well to In the Trees. Right now, the momentum is definitely swinging in their favor, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to hold on to it as this game progresses.
Yeah, especially because Kenny Hammerspike has the lead he has. And okay, for I've been rooting him for the past 5 games. He doesn't always show up, but this is the one game where I could be like, "Yeah, Kenny, get your penta."
Yeah, so he's definitely been showing up this game. He's been doing a really good job on that Twitch, able to slip around, get some really nice picks off. And with this way this game is progressing, we have Dragon coming up here in another 2 minutes. Baron is going to be up in 1. I'm not expecting a Baron call to come out early from either team, but they are going to be setting up for this Dragon. And once they get this Cloud Drake and put them on Soul Point, UB is going to be really scary because there's just so much extra movement speed that's available to them with that Cloud Drake. And there, in the meantime, there's only a little bit of extra healing that's available for In the Trees from their Ocean.
Yeah, a
Right
bit
there,
of
we got poor Poor Fish McGish getting caught once again by the eternity that
Totally.
is the Morgana Dark Binding.
He's so sad. He's unfortunate. Like he's taking a bit of chip damage here and there. That's gonna add up depending on whether he backs. There's no way they're gonna do a Baron call right now. That's a bit aggressive for this coordinated level of play. So when it actually goes to a team fight, we're going to expect that Kenny is going to it's actually in never mind.
Oh, we got a big fight here in the jungle. That is going to be Viego caught in the front line. He is going to get the reset, though, as he manages to take out a target, jumping in on him. Bo Explode is going to go on a killing spree as they take down Malzahar. Double kill going over to the Twitch as he picks up one for himself. Ash is under turret, throwing out those arrows as quickly as possible. Bo Explode getting a lot of damage, is going to get taken down by a turret shot as he tries to fight this under that tower. Jeff God Gamer is getting so much value out of his abilities, though. Picks up the shutdown on the Twitch, and that is basically INT inting into that tower.
What? You won the entire team fight. You had everything. You didn't need one more kill. Oh, that was like a 3-0 win. He just left.
We got a bit of a pause right here.
That seems like a little bit of tilt, maybe. Maybe that fight was a result of lack of lag. Who knows?
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was we had an internet connectivity issue, and that is why the fight continued when it shouldn't have.
Maybe there was brain lag and diving him under tower when you have that much CC. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
But they do get extra vision, and because they come up a bit sooner because they died earlier, they're going to have advantage in vision, but not so much the dragon fight. They won't get a head start on that.
They won't get a head start on the dragon fight. That's still going to be a big one that we have to have happen here. This is going to put YUBI on soul point, which is something that we probably want to see. INT probably wants to go in and stop. They want to try and keep them from getting this. They are setting up around this bot site so that everyone is ready for this fight. Hopefully we don't see yet another in the trees caught in the bush situation. Twitch is able to take out that bot side vision. They're basically just trying to clear that out. In the meantime, Shen has gone to the mid lane, is trying to help out there. We got Set getting caught by a Dark Binding. That CC chain is just so long, and they're just basically going to shred this dragon down during all of that. And there's nothing in the trees can really do to even step up.
Yeah, it's hard to say how well movement speed scales, but the ability of being able to pick and choose which fights you want to go to is to an extent, it's really, in my opinion, overpowered. Because if you could just avoid any fight you don't want to have, and as long as you don't handshake it, you just walk away with that 6% extra move speed.
Something like that. It's so nice though, just to be able to walk in, walk out whenever you want, and that is one of the reasons why Jeff God was able to kite as well as he does, because he has his own CC. In those every auto attack slowing his opponent, while in the meantime he's already sped up. It's look at him move across that map.
Yeah. It's somehow extra value because time in this game is I guess it can be saved through the use of move speed. So now he's getting farm at a fast rate. He's getting gold at a fast rate. It's just really compounding. But now with these item completions, the farm's actually catching up. Freelancer has 2 items, and Civlock has the double burn, which is going to be... I can't really say how much damage it's going to do, but he will melt anyone that comes in his way.
He really will. And I do want to point out that with this gold lead that they have on the side of In the Trees, it's only 1k, while they have nearly double the kills. And that is just because if you look at the CC on the side of UB, they have done such a good job continually farming these lanes despite losing these fights. They're going for that scaling. They're trying to continually like this. We got another pause coming out here, so hopefully
they're going for the late game in real life too.
The late game in real life too, trying to delay things as long as possible.
They'll wait for INT to wait. Okay, INT will wait for UB to die of old age. There you go.
That is exactly.
Oh, no, we're going back in.
There we go. Broccoli is once again back. I think we're just having some internet connectivity issues. So that is causing a lot of problems, I think. Hopefully it's not an input lag situation.
Well, you don't need that many precise inputs for tanks like Shen. I guess with aiming that taunt, that's pretty big. Not really sure.
Well, it's also you got to worry about timing and going in. Does your TP come out quick enough? Are you standing united when you need to?
That's true.
So
That's
there are
true.
a few things, and it's like it's just even playing ground, whatnot. Regardless, though, Yumi, they're slowly clawing their way back into this, but I feel like it's a situation of they've been hanging on for this whole time onto the pant leg, essentially. Like they've just been latched on to INT this game, and are just now starting to climb it up like a kitten, and like you know how they do.
Yeah, they'll get there eventually. Like
Yep.
slowly but surely. I mean, once you factor in the value of like Infernal Drink, because the gold buys items which buys damage, but UB has the gold has the damage trade up. So if you convert the Infernal Drink along with the two Cloud Drakes, I'd say they're actually even if not ahead of INT at this point.
Yeah, they could be very well like even if not ahead. I would argue for the slightly ahead part actually. I feel like In the Trees has a great comp for getting picks, but at the same time, UB has a great comp for denying those engages. Just because anytime a member of INT shows up, if it's more than one UB member there, that's going to be a complete lockdown of that initial engage.
Yeah, I'm. INT had the game in their hands. Like you had Kenny at like what 14 minutes with like 5 kills and maybe 1 death, and like they had the opportunity to like team fight much harder and keep on winning, but I think once they got the advantage, they kind of slowed down. They're more safe than they should be. They should still keep on fighting now that you're as even as you're gonna get.
Exactly. Like IHG really needs to keep on pressuring and keep on pushing harder and harder and harder into this UB comp if they want to keep on winning. Like if they want to keep in this game by letting UB scale up the way that they have. They've kind of put themselves in a position where they could easily get caught out and just basically end up having a huge fight around Baron or Dragon Soul that will basically result in them losing a lot of objectives.
Yeah, the Dragon Soul. Do they
Dragon Soul's
actually
coming
fight
up here
for
in
this?
about 40 seconds.
I think they can have an opportunity to trade because UB really wants the soul.
UB really wants this soul, so they know that they're going to go for it, but at the same time, you've got all of the members of, look at that, Crystal Arrow coming out, as well as the push into the wall from the Poppy. Then we got the huge amount of CC block coming out from Poppy as well as she brings up that domain, and that's just a lot of damage going out onto the back line. We do see Twitch able to get a shutdown. We have the reset coming out from Viego. Brian saying going golden, staying alive. We have Bo Explode jumping in onto the back line, but he's going to get completely shredded as well. Look at that, Kenny Hammerspike having to use the QSS trying to escape, but he's going to barely get out of there with his own life, while Brock Lee, in the meantime, just is trying to do what he can, but he's one Shen versus 3 members of Team UB, and there's just nothing he can do.
Yeah, I think even his ultimate was stopped. No, actually not his ultimate.
His dash was stopped by the Poppy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Poppy is so good at keeping you locked down with that steadfast presence. Like there's nowhere for you to go.
You can't get out. It's like no dashes.
You can't
like,
run away. You can't engage.
Maybe.
Exactly.
Huh? Yeah. So like it's a two-way door. It works both ways. You can't engage, you can't disengage, you can't do anything really. It might as well, it's not a stun, but it might as well be sometimes with the rest of her kit. But that I wish we had replays, because if you remember in that fight, the Malphite nearly just soloed Kenny Hammerspike. It was hilarious.
Yeah, he jumped onto that back line, got so much damage out. There is a lot of damage in the Malphite kit that is just ridiculous. And right here we have once again a repeat of the previous fight, although it's hopefully going to go for INT's favor as they're trying to set it up, trying to deny this vision. The Baron was started, so that's going to be Fish taking a little bit of extra damage, while Brian Sang is just hanging out on that backside. He keeps dropping in these control wards, playing the vision game with this set right there, getting the soul shackles coming out, but is not quite able to. They were essentially trying to lock him in the Baron pit and just get him killed by the Baron.
Utility monster is really scary. This is a bigger team fight because now they have the opportunity to go into Baron, or actually they're going to repeat what they've done before, which is don't make me eat my words.
A choke point. And basically,
are they going to go for Baron or no? Because usually last time they went for.
I don't think they're going to go for it. I think they're just going to go for the bait. Okay. Is right there. You have the jump onto Kenny Hammerspike for the Malphite, knocking him up as the root comes out, but is not quite able to hit. The QSS comes out as well, so he's able to escape. And look at this. We have Broccoli going in onto that as the Shen tries to get a nice taunt off. And this is basically the members of INT trying to chase down YUBI, who are just so fast with this Cloud Drake, and you're just getting slowed by the Ash arrows. There's really nothing you can do, as you just get completely shredded, as YUBI is just got complete control of this fight. They just completely decimate any attempt INT has of engaging in on this. There's just no gap closers that INT has that allow him to get in, but we might be seeing the Viego try and get the reset. He's trying to basically slip up on this, but Utility Monster is just waiting for him. He's going to get caught out. Does manage to dodge the Crystal Arrow, which we saw open that fight, so it is on an insanely low cooldown right now. Once again, the fight is continuing. Fish McGish trying to put on some work with that set. The Haymaker Shield doesn't manage to save him this time, as Brian Sang also picks up a kill, taking down the Viego. And this is just where YUBI is right now. There is nothing INT can do that in order to even get in onto the champions they need in order to take them down.
Yeah. INT had a good opportunity there because they could have baited YUBI into doing the exact same mistake they did last game, which is like if they could bait the dive even harder and get them to like take that tower damage, I think Kenny could have, and especially Evolved Noob hitting the ultimate, could have done a lot more, gotten a lot more value, but
could have gotten a lot more value. They are going to go for the reset. They did manage to take out almost all the members of INT, but it didn't result in but they were able to take on the Baron. They weren't able to push out the waves though. They decided to go ahead and go for that reset. We do have the Elder Drake coming up here in another 2 minutes and 30 seconds. We might see that come on board, and if Universal Basic Income is able to pick that up, that is going to be devastating for INT, as there will be nothing they can do to stop the execution from coming out. There's just so much damage available on the side of YUBI that can just shred straight through a lot of the resistances on INT that the execute is going to be like a foregone conclusion, essentially.
Oh, of course. Imagine how much burn damage Civlock's going to do if he actually gets the... I think just one of the... I don't know if... his E? Oh. Yes, his E, I believe, will just melt anyone on the team. Like, that much true damage, that much HP over time.
Yep, just if he's able to get that corruption out.
I just want to see it.
Yeah, just to see how much damage he's actually able to do. Right now, YUBI, though, is just going to go for this push into the tower. They've got such great siege potential right here. You can have the Malphite dive onto the backline once he sees an opening. They've got the cannon minions that are just going to basically be shooting at this turret from a distance. And it's just... there's nothing that INT can really do to respond, because once they engage... whoever engages first is going to be the one who gets taken down, because they're just going to get locked in place.
No one wants to die here.
No one wants to die here. YUBI's just like, come at me, bro. They're just hanging out on the outside, throwing rocks at glass windows, taking out this turret with no trouble whatsoever. They're just waiting it out. And that's going to be the inhibitor going down next, as they just kind of hang back, letting the minions do all the work. And INT just can't even step up to do anything to them.
Yeah, it seems... Malphite really sums this team fight up much better, because as long as
we have the showstopper coming out, he does take the Malphite into the backline, but Malphite is going to walk forward and then ult his way away from that, and that is going to be Freelancer taking out Bow Explode, Civilog taking out Fish McGish, and that is going to be a shutdown though, as Twitch manages to pick some damage up with the poison, but that is going to be YUBI completely decimating in the trees, cutting down that forest. Then we got someone needs to call the ASPCA and get this deforestation taken care of, as that is going to be the Nexus turrets going down. We might see all the members of YUBI go down to these minions. I don't think so, but that is going to be the Nexus falling, as Jeff God Gamer and Freelancer both have practically no health. And that is going to be game number 3 for a 3-0 sweep, as Universal Basic Income moves on to the grand finals against Blue Bayou Zoo.
Yeah, that was amazing. I liked how they brought out Fish McGish just to try and see what he could do. But Brian Sang, and is the value that you could do is, like, as a support, like, just getting your Senna to that level is very respectable. Oh, not Senna.
That was
Senna. My bad.
That's the last game. Once again, we have a little bit of a graphical glitch. This is just one of the hazards of having pre-recorded games coming out. It can sometimes you just have some things. With that though, that was really awesome seeing the amount of damage that just seeing the amount of work that INT put into this game. They had the early game, they were doing pretty well, and then they kind of slowed down into the mid and late game, which is where Universal kind of took over and basically steamrolled everything. It got really devastating.
Yeah. Props to Utility Monster. He played a different champion every single game here, and he did well every single time.
He really did. Utility Monster has shown how much of utility he's got in his toolkit, and it's really awesome to see. I think that these were a exciting set of 3 games. BJ, you got anything else before we sign off? We're going to be having an interview here in a second.
Universal Basic Wincome.
The
Let's
Universal
go.
Basic Wincome going into the final round of the grand finals versus the Blue Bayou Zoo. That's going to be one exciting set of matches. Stick around for just a moment. We'll be right back with an interview.
Hello, everyone. Chris Edgeworth here for our first viewing of some live people from the games today. We have Utility Monster and Freelancer from the victorious Universal Basic Income. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me tonight. How are you feeling?
Feeling great. Thank you for having us. Josh, how you doing?
Feeling good. Glad we won that game.
Let's take it slow. We'll take it bit by bit. Let's start with your thoughts on game one. It felt like the game was played a little bit away from you. Obviously, if I'm remembering correctly, this was Freelancer your Shen game into the Mord matchup.
Game one, yes, that was
yes.
Shen into Mord.
So let's start with you, and then we'll move into Utility Monster. What were your thoughts on this game? And then Utility Monster, give me your thoughts on this game, especially with this interesting Mord matchup. It seems like they were trying to put his power from your top lane matchup into the bot lane, but they couldn't stop Jeff God going off.
Great. So kind of my initial thoughts on that game and just kind of the series in general is Broccoli is a very flexible player. And they consistently give him the counter pick throughout the series, which I thought was a smart thing. And then Bo Explode picked a Sejuani, which he's very comfortable on, but Sejuani is still a 47% win rate champion and not as strong as she used to be. And probably the most impactful thing, there were a few pauses in the first game, and those pauses ended up being longer than what was shown on broadcast, and that was a bit unfortunate, but I think we were just glad that we were able to play that game out from both sides. Josh?
I think the game was pretty easy for me. Bo Explode focused a lot on top side, which makes sense. You want to get the Mordekaiser rolling in the counter matchup. But because of that, we had a favorable matchup mid, and then our bot lane just absolutely outplayed Kenny Hammerspike and He Who Slops, and so my job in the jungle was really easy. I got to take free dragons, and because they weren't able to get enough topside, Freelancer, doing his job up there, even though it doesn't look pretty, sort of not getting snowballed on, it was pretty easy to take over the game from the bottom half of the map. Stack dragons, take towers, take Baron, end the game. So definitely a solid showing, I think, from everyone on our roster.
Well, I wouldn't discount Freelancers too much in that match. I mean, he was 1-2-12 in the end of the day, 600 gold behind the Mordekaiser. I mean, that's pretty much cracked for a Shen scoreline.
Right, that's exactly what you're hoping for when you're going into the game.
Exactly. So
other than the one time I died to Mordekaiser solo, I think that I played that game very well.
All right, you gotta give him a handicap, freebie, just to make it interesting. Let's talk about game two. This was the fated Sylas Malphite matchup, which is always spicy. And then you were piloting Utility Monster, the Jarvan, coming out against the Udyr. You guys did a really good job of punishing the hubris, so to speak, of Broccoli picking this strong counter into the Malphite. Let's go Utility Monster and then to Freelancer. What were your thoughts on this game two and the pressure you're able to exert?
I think our draft was fine. I also think that the way the game turned out, the laning phase was irrelevant. The draft was irrelevant. What mattered most was the fact that we had a 1,500 gold lead from a minute and a half into the game. I was super proud of that one. So that one, I actually noticed a trend in blue side games. INT likes to do the top side invades. And they've done it a couple of times against BBG, especially when they were down in the series. And they just gone down in this series. They just picked blue side. They did this to us actually the second time they played us in regular season as well. So I had this planned out from the start of the series that our first red side game we were gonna camp the bush behind red, and so we did it, and it worked out. So I was really proud of sort of the scouting going into the game, because it looked like we knew they were going to, because we kind of suspected it. And from then on, there's almost nothing they can do, assuming we played properly. And I don't think we played perfectly, but we played perfectly well enough to capitalize on such a big early lead.
Yeah, absolutely. We had the hard read. I really respect the draft that they chose. They showed that they did a lot of draft prep, that they were willing to pick the Sylas into the Malphite. and they had a bot lane kind of prepared to kind of stop the Set Senna with the Draven Pantheon, which they wanted to get snowballed. But again, once those 3 kills happened and a lot of that gold went over to the bot lane, it was over. I also wanted to shout out just how well Civillock did throughout the entire series. Normally all the focus is on the bot lane, but I think Civillock was kind of our best performing member throughout the series. And
I think
he
he
did just
solo killed every single game. I think he got a solo kill.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit of a mid diffy there every now and then. And I do want to touch one more thing on the you stole my next question from me, but that's okay. You guys are very, very good at answering it. I was going to ask you about that 5v5 Fiesta at level 1 and give you guys the early gold in your pockets that you were able to exploit and get that snowball going. It sounds like you guys had a good read on what you're expecting to see out of INT in this series. Can you talk, let's take a pause here and just talk in general about what your thoughts were in preparation for this series, both of you. Let's start at Freelancer and then Utility Monster.
So Bo Explode is kind of their strongest player. He is their playmaker. He is the one that makes a lot of their decisions, and then probably Brock Lee tends to try and get ahead in the top lane. And so long as those two aren't really able to make plays around the map, we're fairly confident that we're going to win the series. Josh?
I think game 1 went about as we expected. They pulled out their Kog'Maw comp that they've been really enjoying all playoffs. We felt like we had stylistically a good answer to it, and it turned out we did. Games 2 and 3, actually, beyond expecting how they generally wanted to play the level 1, I actually don't think that the prep mattered as much as I thought it would going in, because their support, He Who Slops, had power issues and so couldn't connect. So their backup top laner, Fish McGish, came in, played support, did I think pretty well. He's a very good top laner. It's hard to play a new role in playoffs with all the pressure, but I think he did as good a job as you can expect. But because of this sudden wrench in their plan, sort of everything we expected wasn't necessarily playing out what we as we thought, but also it's a big thing for them to adapt to, and I'm sure that was hard for INT mid-series, having to get an unexpected substitution in there.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to talk a little bit more about the game we just witnessed, though. There was, I think that was the most interesting game of the series to talk about, especially because, as we were talking off broadcast, and I want to lead with this. Obviously, Kenny was popping off in the early game on the Twitch, which was sick because I like seeing picks that we don't see too often, so it was kind of fun. But when you actually look at it, outside the game, as you guys were able to rewatch this, having played it the other day, at 15 minutes, I looked at this. There was 10 to 15 kills, but it was when you guys got that third Drake to go up one Drake, you guys were even towers. You did end up giving 2 towers shortly after that. You guys were more spread out in gold, but you were saying as you were playing that game, it didn't feel all that different. So talk to me about the tempo of this game. And how you felt about it, playing it out, and then just getting to watch it back a little bit. Let's go Utility and then Freelancer.
Sure. So I invaded Krugs early on in the game as Poppy. I misplayed the fight. I didn't use my W properly, didn't flash properly, and we ended up getting triple kill wiped in bot lane. And that sort of sets the game on a really disastrous trajectory, not partly because Twitch has been able to roam freely and pick up a lot more money. And also, I think we lost Dragon off the tempo. We suddenly don't have control of half the map anymore, and that really limits your options going on. So I think from there, INT is in a pretty dominating position in the game. And playing the game, I knew we were behind, but it didn't feel like we were as behind as we were when I rewatch it. But it also, the flip side of that was we sort of slowly got back into the game, sort of farming up as safe as we could, and it felt like sort of it was a long grind, and we eventually, due to macro positioning, got some extra dragons, got some more farm, fought our way back into the game. But rewatching it, actually, there was a big fight in the top jungle where they kill 3 of us, and then they overpush into our tower and give 3 kills back. I think that was actually the defining moment of where they lost their advantage, because we get massive gold shutdowns onto some key members, and we get a ton of tempo back onto the map, which lets us continue our dragon stacking. So I think it was less of it was definitely a long, slow climb back, and I think we played to our outs pretty well. But there was definitely a sort of a key moment where they sort of threw away some of the advantage they'd accrued and led us back into the game, and I think we took the chance and didn't look back from there.
Mm-hmm. We kind of saw that they were going for the submarine Twitch. They were really going to try and like catch you out with Viego, Seraphine, Set, and Twitch. And we decided to go for a comp that was a lot more team fight oriented. And we kind of held the belief throughout that even though we were behind, that we knew that we could take fights. We knew that we just needed to wait for a mistake from INT. And eventually we found one. And also, we were just, despite being behind, we were able to out-tempo to get those dragons, to get those objectives, and to get a lot of the farm throughout the map, and make sure that we didn't just lose the game off of that early game. And I was actually really proud of the team at how level-headed we are. We were the entire time, and just how we held ourselves during that game. In general, that's one of the things that I really enjoy playing with YUBI. Is even when we're losing or having a rough time, we're always having a good time together, and we're always happy to be playing with each other as a team.
So let me pose this to you, Freelancer. At the middle of, or about 20 minutes in, was that nice fight around their red side jungle, and then you guys were kiting, or your red side jungle rather, and kiting back towards your tower. Jeff really clutched it in that fight with the auto spacing. Mad respect, tip of the hat to the ADC. Gotta love that. But as we've been talking about throughout this interview, I mean, you hit the nasty Malphite ultimate in that fight, which really gave Jeff everything he needed to get the reset, so to speak, get the lifesteal from getting these kills, get people out of the fight, so to speak, from get the autos off. You were in the Shen on the first game. You've been all over the utility in this game. Talk to me about how you feel you've played out your role throughout these playoffs, throughout this series, and just a little bit about how you're feeling about this matchup going into BBZ, what you can bring up against BBZ in the top lane.
Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of go back to like the BBZ matches where I didn't really play very well on Wukong into the Trundle into the set, even though they're matchups that you're supposed to win on Wukong. I didn't fully understand them. And I think what kind of showed up in a lot of the follow-up games is a kind of a strategy by other teams to kind of focus on the top side of the map, see if they can try to exploit me, get the Rift Herald, take top tower, take a second top tower, and really open up the game that way. And we have tend to focus a lot on the bot side. And so I kind of recognized my role was just to be as stable as possible, provide that survivability, don't hand over a lot of gold, get farmed, and I don't need to necessarily carry. I have great teammates that will do that. So I just need to survive on the Shen, on the Malphite, or even on Wukong games, playing Cho'Gath when I think that I can take the advantageous matchup. I have that leeway. But most teams focus on top lane against us, and I focus a lot on playing around the other team's jungler and not dying like I did in the BBZ game.
I can't speak out of hand because you're both in here, but it seems a lot from my experience that top lane is a lot about how much you can play away or deal with the other team's jungler getting in your business, but also like how much you use / don't need to use the pressure of your own jungler. If you can be like, no, I'm fine up here. Like I can give this CS. Like I can play safe. Like make the play down here. Go counter jungle. Get this vision XYZ. So I think that you bring a lot of strength in that regard. You guys can play around your lane when you need to, but I think that you and Utility Monster are able to play well around, not needing to have Utility Monster in your lane as your third summoner spell, so to speak. And Utility Monster, let me turn it over to you. Just quite simply, it seems like you got a little bit of a champion ocean building up here. We're at a champion lake maybe right now, but it's starting to look like you got a champion ocean building. What is your role on this team, especially throughout the playoffs, how you feel you've performed, and how you're feeling about your matchup against BBZ coming up?
I actually think I played really, really well in our last match series against BBZ. I think everyone else was having sort of a bit of an off day. I think I performed pretty well. So if I can do that well again, I'll be happy. I think there were still some things I can clean up. So definitely not perfect by any means. But I'm not super worried about the jungle matchup in particular. I think my role on this team has been sort of consistency. I think our bot lane it looks very consistent because they always win, but they're actually one of the higher variance parts of our team, I feel like, in the sense that they never lose, but what you can get out of our bot lane is sort of either slightly winning to the game is over at 10 minutes. But when your range in bot lane is so positive in general, I think it's my job sort of to keep the rest of the map together and then show up and team fight well. And I think I'm also one of the primary shot callers, so make sure everyone's where they're supposed to be so that we can close out our leads. I think we've done really well all year. We've closed out basically anytime we have a major lead. I think there's one or two exceptions, but for the most part, if we're ahead, we stay ahead. And I think that's one of the best things that a team can have as an attribute, because if you always win games where you're favored and you sometimes win ones where you have a shaky early game, that's a pretty good recipe for winning a lot of games.
I've talked to Jeff and Brian a lot this year. I've had both of you on, I think once or twice, and Civillock as well. But since they're not here, Civillock also got a couple solos out there, the little solo bolos. So we got to tip our hat to that for sure. We've talked a lot about, or I just asked you about, rather, I should say, about your role in this team, and you both established, the role play, you're the role players, so to speak, in this team. You have a lot of variance from your carry bot laners and stuff. But in the same sense, it's not like this is kind of going to be an ancient reference, but no one on this team is like Looper, getting carried to the world final. And
Looper is underrated. Don't slander Looper. Looper was good that year.
He was limited. He was good but limited. And
there is
that's
always room for a very talented weak side top laner. I mean, you can look at Impact, you can look at Gimgoon. Weak side top laners are very important in championship contending teams. I don't want to hear this Looper slander. I know what you mean. Yeah,
there's no check stealers here. That's all I'm saying. There's no check stealers here on YUBI. No, everyone's here to play. Everyone's a contender.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone's capable of stepping up. I think everyone's had a carry game this year, more than one actually, and that's really good to see. So that if anyone has a down game, we can definitely expect someone else to pick it up and to have a solid game. And part of it as well is that we have really good, I think, communication and team play. So even if you take someone down in laning phase, they're always going to team fight well, even if they're down gold, even if they're tilted, it doesn't matter. And I think that's a really good characteristic to have, and it also makes it really fun to play League of Legends with this roster.
Well, let's get ready to wrap this up here. It has been great talking to you guys, but we're turning this into the FOF Lounge interview. We gotta wait until you win your grand finals until we can talk more. So before we step away, let me just ask you if you have any final thoughts before we are heading into our grand finals coming up next week. And if you have any thoughts on your teammates, any shout outs you want to give before we step away. Let's go Freelancer first.
Yeah, so one, I just want to thank everyone that's followed us all this way. It's a lot of fun to play in this tournament. and we look forward to entertaining y'all during the finals. The next thing that I wanted to say is I think we're ready for BBZ, and I think we're ready to show them for the near automatons that they are.
Yeah, I want to thank all the organizers of this tournament. It's been a fantastic couple months. I think everyone's put a lot of hard work into it, and it shows. Yeah, can't wait to 3-0 BBZ next week.
Freelancer, you gotta give me a number now. What are you thinking? Are you on the 3-0 train, or are you humble?
We're gonna go 3-0. Come on.
There it is. There it is. All right, folks. Well, we're looking forward to a quick finals next week, maybe or maybe not, as we will be seeing YUBI versus BBZ in the grand finals. So, folks, we'll be looking forward to seeing you joining us on Friday for our Mythic League matchups. Otherwise, join us next week for our grand finals for this Heroic League matchup. Everyone, this is Chris Edgeworth. Thanks again to Utility Monster and Freelancer for this interview. And congratulations to Universal Basic Income on making it to the grand finals. Everyone, have a wonderful evening and good night.